Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, and today we are going to discuss who the bigger daddy is between the Skorpion G and the ISU-152. Now in this first game we are going to watch Paolo playing in the Skorpion G. Now this tank is a tier 8 German premium tank destroyer that has a very high DPM sitting at 2848 and 460 alpha damage, scoring a pretty nice win ratio of 55.62. Now this tank though has very bad armor. You can pretty much HE it everywhere on the turret and on the side, the butt, and in the front if you have a very nice HE penetration. So you need to play this tank very carefully, as people are going to switch to HE and are going to pen you, and if they pen you, well, you don't actually have a lot of HP, so you have to be very careful because you can get shut down very easily, as in the Rheinmetall Borsig HoF N Trager. Now this tank has a very nice top speed as well as engine power and power to weight ratio, and this is why you can see Paolo is actually able to rush into the enemies, but still you have to be careful to not rush too far, as I just said, you can get shut down very easily indeed. And Paolo finds himself right here in a very sticky situation. He's pretty lucky the AMX actually only tracked him without damaging him, but here he's going to show you what the best things are about Skorpion G, and that is DPM and penetration. And then also this tank has pretty nice HE penetration and very nice alpha damage, as you can see, max rolling to 750, but the average alpha damage is 600 on the HE rounds, which is very nice indeed. Now you will see Paolo actually plays this tank very carefully. Well, he did make that little bit of a mistake at the start of the game, but he always tries to have at least one wagon in this case between his opponents and him, where you can actually get backwards and get into cover if they try to rush him or if they try to aim at him. And that is how you have to play this tank. You cannot actually expose yourself. Now this is a mistake in my opinion again, because the T-28 could have just shot him really, and he just went forwards and bounced the shell as well. So that wasn't the best play ever, but here we find a very nice position between the rails, shooting the T-28 for 450 damage, which is very good. Now why am I actually comparing the Skorpion G with the ISU? Well, mainly because of that huge alpha damage both of the tanks have at tier 8. I think it's a very interesting question you have to ask yourself in World of Tanks: what do I want to sacrifice to gain something else? And in the ISU, clearly you're going to sacrifice the alpha damage to gain the Skorpion G, but you have a turret as well, you are nimble, you're fast, but you don't have the ability to, well, absolutely destroy the enemies with that 640 alpha damage and 960 alpha damage the ISU has on the HE rounds. So I think it is a very interesting comparison, because also you lose that ability to bounce shells. Well, of course, now Paolo has been very lucky at the start of the game to bounce a shell, but in the IS2 you can actually bounce shells because you have a huge mantlet, and if people shoot your mantlet, well, obviously it's going to bounce off your tank and not damaging you. So you just lose that alpha damage, lose the fact you can bounce stuff, to gain mobility and gain a turret and gain, well, the fact you are nimble. So although both of the tanks are very different, they are also, well, very similar, because in both of the tanks you need to play carefully, you can't get flanked, and you have that huge alpha damage that is actually a big threat. No one wants to, well, ride just in front of you if you're not a one-shot and take a hit or trade with you, because, yeah, obviously that wouldn't be very good. So now let's just focus about the game and what is going on. So Paolo found himself into a 2 versus 3 situation, and really I'm not a big fan of what he's doing right now, because he's just trying to trade. He's exposing his well, his butt to the KV4, hoping probably, well, he shoots me, I will shoot him, but that's not the winning play. You should have maybe tried, even if it's a bit stupid, to side script, maybe try to relocate to get a KV4 instead of just driving out in the open and flipping the coin whether the KV4 is going to hit him or not, and just trading shells. In this tank, as I said, you can't bounce, so I mean, I think that wasn't very good. But here he actually shows very nice knowledge, shooting HE into the front tracks of the projectile, shutting him down, because HE is always going to splash and damage. Well, if you hit the gun, of course, it's not going to splash and damage, but he shot the lower side of the Progetto, shutting him down, which was a very nice play. And another HE round in the AMX shows very nice knowledge of where you can shoot HE with this tank, well, getting the MX to a one-shot as well. So now he just has to reload. He actually shot a very nice lucky shell into the KV4 right there, and now he just has to trade and well kill the AMX, but he doesn't want to die because it was a 50-50 whether the AMX was going to shut him down. And just like that, with the crazy DPM on this tank and the mobility you have, he managed to get an ace tank, a ready waters, a high caliber and a top gun for 5.1k damage. And look at those juicy credits as well he made. So that gives him 1605 experience and gets him on top of the team, of course, with this very, very good game. So he shot 15 shells, missed one and bounced 2. And all in all, this is just a very nice game, and I think it's really shows you what the power is of the Skorpion G in the hands of a good player. So before we jump to the next replay, I just want to clarify that I indeed said in the hands of a good player, because I really think that if you're struggling with tank destroyers, this is not the tank you can just play and think, well, I'm not that good in tank destroyers, I'm going to destroy everyone. Because as I said, you're going to get penned by everything that shoots at you, and if they shoot at you, you are going to get wrecked instantly. So you have to know maps, know the positions, where you can sit, where you can hide, where you can shoot, where you can ambush, and all of these things are, well, you have to practice them a lot. And so I wouldn't recommend going for the Skorpion G as your third tank destroyer. But if you like the grill and if you think, well, I play well in the grill, you are definitely going to play well in the Skorpion G as well. Or if you like the Borsig and you want to, you know, trade a little bit of mobility for the alpha damage, I mean, not the other way around, of course, I think the Skorpion G is a very nice pickup. It's not a tank that's going to deceive you if you're a good player, so you should definitely try and pick it up if it's for sale and if you have the money to do so. So now let's look at the ISU, and we are watching Kex422 playing well in the ISU on Castilla, one of, in my opinion, the best maps for tank destroyers. And this is, by the way, the HoF N number 2 as I am recording right now, so he's of course going to have a juicy game. Now I don't think I have to introduce this tank, as we all know the BL10 and the damage it can cause. So this tank has a 640 alpha damage gun with very nice gun handling. Like I said, it has a good, a big mantlet on front of the tank that can bounce, but it is turretless. It's a classic tank destroyer. The speed isn't insane, but the DPM is very good, at actually sitting at 3.2k DPM shooting AP. And if you shoot your HE rounds, it goes up to 4,750. The HE rounds on the ISU are the most devastating thing at tier 8. So now it's looking like the ISU is a god tank, and really, I think it actually is. But is it possible to take out? Well, of course it is. You have to try and track him, try and get behind it, or try and make the tank miss. But you have to be very careful, because as I said, if it hits you, well, most likely it's going to penetrate you and you are not going to be very well. So Kex is using the classic tank destroyer position on Castilla, and I would be very scared. And you can see Kex is actually scared as well, because as the medium tanks on his team decided not to contest the hill, well, if the enemy medium tanks do, to all intents and purposes, he's going to get spotted and he's going to get shut down very quickly. But the defender Mark 1 is spotted on the hill, as you can see him right there. So it looks like, well, one of the enemy medium tanks at least is not going to spot him on the hill, as he is not present there, but the other one isn't spotted yet, so he has to be very careful that if he gets spotted, he needs to get down the hill as quickly as he can to well, prevent getting shot by the entirety of the enemy team, because, well, as they shoot, to all intents and purposes, if he gets spotted, he's going to get focused and try to shut him down as soon as they can. So unfortunately, Kex had some pretty bad RNG, but even with that, 2 minutes and 30 seconds, 1 minute and 30 seconds into the game, I'm sorry, he actually is already at 2.5k damage. So you actually saw at some point he was trying to switch to HE to shoot into the side of the turret of the Emil, and well, that's a good and a bad play, in my opinion, in itself, because the HE rounds on this tank has 90mm of penetration compared to the Skorpion G that only has 65. But when you shoot HE at long distances like this, you're going to lose penetration, and you are going to, of course, well, the chance of shooting something else than the target you are shooting is pretty high. So if you miss your HE shells, I think it's a bit of a waste, because you could have shot AP and deal 640 alpha damage, as well as, well, maybe some module damage, instead of just shooting HE willy-nilly and missing. And that's why Kex switched back to his AP, as he saw, well, firstly, he couldn't actually pen the Emil reliably on his turret side with that HE, and probably also because he didn't want to miss and lower his DPM. Now if you were on the enemy team, please don't make the same mistake as well the players on the enemy team did, and that is they get shot by an ISU-152, so they know he's actually on the hill and still they are trying to push. You cannot push in front of an ISU-152. It is just not possible, because you're going to get wrecked, and this tank has pretty nice camouflage. And well, Kex is using a camo net as well, so you are just not going to spot him before you get killed. So what can they do? Well, in my opinion, they need to just stay and relax and send the medium tanks to flank and well, spot Kex 422. And yes, I know when you play, most players are not reliable and won't actually do what you tell them to do. But I still think you need to chill out, and if you actually think and you're like, okay, well, there is no way the medium tanks are going to spot him, you just try to get out of that position, or you try to play and wait for, well, the enemy team, so in this case Kex team, to push you, and you just stay behind the rocks, because there is no point in just suiciding, going forwards into the line of an ISU. So this is a big difference between the ISU and the Skorpion G. In my opinion, you cannot trade with an ISU, it's just not possible. But taking a hit from a Skorpion G, although it is very painful, 460 is not 640. So I would say you can try and just go forwards, take that shell from Skorpion G, and if you're on the mill, you just unload 2 shells and then you go back into cover. That's something you cannot do while facing the ISU-152. So the ISU-152 has a enormous scare factor that you can try and play with while playing the ISU. Well, people that actually are thinking straight will not ever try to push you, and that is something you have to take advantage of. Now Kex is finding himself into a pretty sticky situation right here, although I think the T69 is a pretty bad player, as he just could have gone onto the hill because he was there and tried to spot Kex. He still manages to put 2 or maybe even 3 shells into Kex, reducing his HP to a point where he's a one-shot for every tank on the enemy team, except the T69 himself. Kex is showing great marksmanship and knowledge of maps. So the T69 got out of the base, but he didn't spot him crossing on his right side, so he must be on the left side, and of course he is. And so Kex completely outplays the T69, who thought, well, I'm going to flank the guy. So very well played by him. That's just map knowledge at its best and its finest. And although it is a 3 versus 2, this game is still not over, because the tanks that are left are very dangerous tanks indeed, and tier 9s as well. But Kex is going to show you the power of the ISU, max rolling the motion for 800 damage and reducing the guy to 20, I think it was 24 HP, no, 21 HP, yeah, of course 21, making it able for the Chrysler to shut him down, probably shooting HE into his turret. So there's only one opponent remaining, which is the T95. Now that's still a very scary tank, but I don't think the player is the best player on the enemy team. So Kex also just get his flanks. I don't know why he's trying to shoot HE right now. He just should indeed switch to that APCR, shooting a very nice APCR shell into the side of the T95, and now he just has to shoot one more HE shell that he can splash anywhere on the tank to shut him down. But unfortunately the ST1 does before he manages to do so. But still an amazing game for the ISU-152, scoring over 6.9 thousand damage, getting a high caliber, a sniper's medal, and an ace, of course. He's top of his team with 4 kills. And he didn't actually miss a lot of shells. He showed very nice marksmanship, only bouncing 1 shell and missing 1. So right now you will probably feel, well, actually, you told us the Skorpion G is good, but you also told us the ISU is a god tier tank. So, well, what tank should I get? Well, actually, I think both tanks are exceptionally good in their own way. So I don't like making choices. I would say, you know what, just pick both of them. I mean, the ISU is a tech 3 tank, so you can just grind it out. And the Skorpion G is a very, very good premium tank, so you can just get that one as well. So to sum it up, I would say some pros of the ISU are the fact that it has, well, that scare factor and that amazing gun, but some cons is, well, it is slow, it doesn't have the turret, it doesn't have the nibble factor that the Skorpion G has, but the Skorpion G has, on the other hand, also very nice DPM. It is way faster, but it can be penned by HE. If you aren't careful, it can just get absolutely deleted of some games. But with that speed you can just actually do some very, very nice and juicy things the ISU couldn't, because, well, in the ISU you just can't be everywhere on the map at the same time, but in the Skorpion G actually that is possible with that amazing speed. So to conclude, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider giving the video a thumbs up, as it really helps the channel out, and I will see you in the next video. Stay safe, guys.